Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the show. My name is DDare Bionic, if you did not know, and I am black with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another movie review. I've really been enjoying doing these movie reviews. It's just really easy to sit down and record a quick little movie review. So today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Barbarian. I watched it last night. It was a wild ride. If you enjoy content like this, movie reviews or reviews in general, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I put up 2 new videos every week, so make sure your notifications are turned on so you know when I'm posting a brand new video. And comment down below the next film you want to see me review or product or whatever, what have you. Let me know in the comments. With all that being said, let's get into today's review. Okay, so Barbarian. Where do we even begin, honestly, with this film? It was a wild ride indeed. Let me pull up the cast list so that I can have everybody's names ready and correct. I truly only know the name of one person in the film. But it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. Okay, so I've got my cast list pulled up here. I'm using IMDb because, you know, it's super accurate. Let's get into, this is your spoiler warning. This is a spoiler review video. This is gonna spoil the film Barbarian, pretty much everything about it. So if you don't want a spoiler review, stop now, go watch it. It's on HBO Max streaming, and then come back and watch my review and see if you agree with what I say. The film stars Georgina Campbell as Tess. She has come to this house. It's a nice looking house on the outside and on the inside, honestly. She's come to this Airbnb that she's supposed to be staying at. She's got a job interview the next day. It's pouring down rain. It's pitch black outside, but she gets into town. She goes up to the house. The key is missing, and there's already someone in the home. And that someone is our good friend, Pennywise, the dancing clown himself, Bill Skarsgård.
No, we're not happy here. Y'all don't want to hear me, you just want to dance.
Playing Keith is inside. And immediately upon seeing Keith, I do not trust him. I'm just putting it out there. I don't trust him. He was being very nice and very friendly. And as it turns out, very genuine in his nice and friendliness. And it honestly kind of really gives a nod to the poster, like the poster artwork. I don't know if this was intentional, but he was a big red herring for the big bad of this movie. Now, I don't know if this film is billed as a horror film. I personally wouldn't consider it a horror film. I felt like it was more suspense thriller. It was very suspenseful. And I'll get to that in a moment. It was very suspenseful, not very scary. There were no moments really that scared me, but things that were just like, ugh. Anyway, so Tess goes to this house. Keith is already there. He's like, hey, come in. We'll call these people in the morning. They both have somehow been booked on this Airbnb at the exact same time. And he's like, hey, I don't want you to be left out in the rain. I don't know if you got to look at this neighborhood when you pulled up, which she's standing on the porch at one point, waiting, like calling the Airbnb people, and looks around the neighborhood, and it is pitch black, unrealistically dark in this neighborhood. You know, he's being very generous. So they spend the night. They open up a bottle of wine that's there. She starts to open up to him. He's honestly, genuinely doing his best to be not creepy, but inherently creepy. And I don't know if that's my inherent bias toward him, knowing that he was Pennywise the dancing clown, or if it genuinely was kind of how the direction was supposed to go, which if it was the direction, great job to Zach Krieger. I hope I'm saying that right. Wonderful direction by Zach. It really throws you off the trail of what the actual horror in this movie is. He's like, you take the bed, I'll sleep on the couch. They have this bottle of wine. They're both a little tipsy. Nothing happens. He is still being a complete gentleman. She goes to bed. Now they show shots, and this is another great little moment in the writing and the direction. They show shots of her when she first enters the home, of her locking the door. Every single time she goes into a room, she locks the door behind her. This one time, after he has washed the sheets for her, made the bed, helped her make the bed, and he's like gone out to lay on the couch, she's gotten in the bed. They're a little tipsy, like I said, and she doesn't lock the door. She's gotten comfortable with him. So she doesn't lock the door. She wakes up, the door is cracked open, and he is having some kind of weird nightmare on the couch. She goes in, she's like, hey, did you open my door? He goes, no, I didn't. You scared the shit out of me. Why'd you wake me up? She's like, I'm sorry, my bad. She goes back into the room, locks the door. Down the hallway, you see a door close. That's important. So I'm like, oh, hell no. When I saw the door close out loud, I was like, fuck that. No, absolutely not. He leaves her a note saying that he had to, go and run some errands, and for her to leave the key in the lockbox so he can get back in just in case. So she's like, totally, absolutely. She gets ready for her interview. She leaves the key in the lockbox. She goes to her interview. She comes back, and this guy is running up to her. And he's like, hey, little girl, don't you go in the house. Don't you go in the house. And she, of course, runs into the house. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit because a lot happens in the first 20 or 30 minutes of the movie that's kind of inconsequential, I think. And I think that's my one ding for the movie, is that a lot of the beginning is a red herring and really does kind of set you up for this bigger ending. But I feel like it maybe could have been cut down a little bit, just a little bit. I don't think we needed to see her go to the job interview. So I think they could have cut that scene and it would have made for still an equally really beautiful film. So anyway, she gets back to the house. She gets chased by this guy into the house. She's like, I'm fucking leaving. This is crazy. She packs all her stuff up. She's about to leave. And then she's like, I'm not letting this freak me out. She also calls the cops, who are like, there's nobody available. So it was really realistic and unrealistic very realistic because of the part of town she was in. Because she leaves that morning and she gets a look at all of the houses completely dilapidated. No one else is living on this street, but this one house is gorgeous. And every other house on the street is completely torn apart. Like, there should not be an Airbnb in this area. Flash forward, she said, she garners her strength. She's like, I'm good. I got this. I'm a boss bitch, girl boss. And she stays, she goes to use the bathroom. There's no toilet paper. She goes downstairs to get the toilet paper, and she gets locked in by that door. It was the basement door, closes and locks automatically on her. So she's like, shit, now I'm locked in the basement. She finds this thing, pulls this cord that's in the wall, and it opens up a secret passage in the basement that goes down the hallway to a room with a bed, a camera, and it's really dingy and gross, and there's bloody handprints. She's like, hell no. So Keith finally shows up. He gets her out of the basement. She's freaking out, as she should, because she is totally terrified. Tess is totally terrified of this room in the basement. He's trying to be like, chill, like nothing's wrong. What are you even talking about? He goes down there. She calls his name. He don't respond. Well, initially he does respond, and then he starts not responding. And this is where the movie takes a turn and you realize what you thought was the creepy factor, because he still is creepy. Like, he still seems to be the villain or the big bad of the movie, but this is where it starts to take a turn for the very odd. So we get to Tess. She goes downstairs. She goes through the door again. She props the door open so she doesn't get locked down there. Goes downstairs, goes through, doesn't see him in the room. And now you're like, holy fuck, where is he? What happened? He stopped responding. What's going on? Did he finally lead her into this place to, kill her or whatever, torture her? And I just have to commend the acting of both of these two actors. They've been essentially the only two people in the film at this point. Georgina Campbell and Bill Skarsgård are very convincing in their roles of creepy man and strong but curious and a little bit like dejected woman. Like, it's revealed that she's been in a bad relationship and all this other stuff. And they do a the acting in this film, beautiful, from every actor that has like a main part or a main thing to do, namely Georgina, Bill Skarsgård, and everyone's absolute favorite horror king, Justin Long. Fantastic job from all three of those actors. They are like the main three actors of the film. Really, really beautiful performances, specifically from Georgina Campbell. I know she's probably never going to see this or not watching this at all, but baby, you did an amazing job in this film. 10s across the board, fantastic acting from all but you, specifically Georgina. You get the golden star of the day because it was incredible. So she goes down, she's looking for Keith. Whenever I hear the name Keith, I think about I don't know if any of you have seen that movie Hoodwinked. It's an animated film starring Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway? Is that Anne Hathaway? Anne Hathaway plays Little Red Riding Hood, and Andy Dick plays the evil bunny rabbit. Maybe I'll watch. Maybe I'll start like a sub series of this. It's like nostalgia watch, and I'll watch films that I haven't seen in a really long time. And oh, that would be fun. Should I do that? Comment down below if you want to see me nostalgia watch movies like Hoodwinked. And comment down below if you've seen Hoodwinked and what you think of it, because I love this movie. My brother and I absolutely love this movie. I think we saw it in the theaters, and we saw part 2 in the theaters. Like, we are huge animated film people. Shout out to my brother. I love you, Udi. Every time I hear the name, the whole tangent, oh my God. Every time I hear the name Keith, I think of this scene in Hoodwinked where he's like, and change your name, Keith. Who's gonna be afraid of that? Like, watch out for Keith.
And Keith, darn it, change your name, please. That's not scary, and I'm embarrassed to say it. Boris, try that. Keith, oh, watch out for Keith.
So she goes down into the tunnel, she's looking for
Keith.
And she finds another door. She goes down the door, it leads down into this deeper tunnel. She's looking around. She's got her flashlight on. She's calling his name out the whole time. I'm like, girl, why are you screaming? First of all, why did you go back down there? Like, I understand y'all have made this bond and this connection over one day. That's cute. And y'all can explore that at a later date. But clearly his ass that went all the way down up into the deep bowels of the earth. And he gone. I get that human need to save somebody. It's not giving realistic. I'm sorry. Like, if I went to an Airbnb, somebody was already staying there. I stayed the night. Nothing creepy happened. The next day, something creepy happens in the Airbnb. Even while that person is not there, they don't believe me. They go down to check out the thing themselves. That's on you. I'm out. I saw the creepy thing, and I don't need to re-see the creepy thing. And I don't need to know that there are more creepy things happening with said creepy thing. So I'm out. I'm gone. I'm done. Peace. See you later. Goodbye. I'll text you, Keith, to see if you good. DM me on Instagram. at me on Twitter. Like, we don't need to go down there together to see the creepy thing. If you don't believe it and you want to go investigate, you do that. But me, my black ass. But anyway, Tess wasn't thinking that way. So she went down screaming and hollering down in this tunnel with her phone flashlight looking for Keith. And she finds Keith, and Keith is like freaked. And it's in this moment that you realize that Keith is not the villain of the story. He's like, he's like something, he's like trying to get her to stop screaming. He tells her that there is someone else down there, red flag number 3 at this point, and that it bit him. Like, whoever it was bit him. He's like, somebody bit me. And then you see this gigantic, naked, like gangly woman coming up behind them. She grabs Keith and just starts bashing his head into the wall. She's bashing his head into the wall. Boom, 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 boom. Kills him, smashes his head. And they show the whole thing. Like, they very much don't cut away from it. So if you're not into gore, it's not incredibly gory. Like, you don't see bits flying all around, but you definitely see his head get smashed in, crushed, blood, eyes. It was not a lot, but it was a lot. So that happens, and Tess is like standing there screaming instead of running away. And then it cuts to AJ, Justin Long's character, driving in his little convertible down the coastline in California. I looked at my partner, we looked at each other and we were like, what the fuck? What's going on with Tess? Like, wait a minute, you can't just cut away like that. Like, he gets a call that his co-star in a film or in a TV series, I believe, or something that they shot a pilot for. Yeah, TV series, because it's a pilot. TV series that they shot a pilot for has reported him for sexual misconduct, and it's not looking good. And he's like freaking out. He's like, oh my God. Then he goes to his financial advisor, and his financial advisor is like, bro, you're going to be broke in 3 months if you fight this in court. Justin Long is playing a very convincing douchebag guy. Like, he is like, I didn't do that. I'm going to run her through the ringer. This bitch got me fucked up. Da, 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 da. And very obviously did do it. He goes back to Michigan, which is where this whole thing takes place, in Detroit, Michigan. Flies home to Michigan to see this house. He just so happens to be the owner of the home where all this crazy shit just happened to Tess and Keith. R.I.P. Keith. He goes home. He's like, what the hell? Somebody's in my house. All of their stuff is still laid around. I'm guessing it's been a week or so. Like, it's been a minute since all of this happened. Because AJ goes down into the basement. He hears rumbles and things going around down in the basement. So he goes down there and he ends up, I'm fast forwarding through this because there's a lot of stuff that happens that like, we don't necessarily need to see. Like, he goes out to dinner, or goes out to have drinks with a friend that lives in Detroit, basically confesses to essaying this woman, and then comes home drunk and calls her. Like, it, I think all of these things were left in the film to get us to believe, or not believe, but like to make us realize how much of a bad person this guy is. But we see it later in the movie. Like, it is very apparent later in the film that he is not a good person. He goes down into the basement. He finds Mother, the mama, which is what they're calling her, who is portrayed by Matthew Patrick Davis, as this like big gangly like creature. So he finds her, she chases him, he falls into this pit where we see Tess. So at this point, I really had believed that Tess was dead. I thought that the Barbarian, the woman Mother, would have killed her at this point. But according to the room that she was in, she's watching this breastfeeding video and she just wants to be a mother. So she like hands them this bottle. Tess is like, just drink the bottle, like just drink the milk. She just wants to take care of you. He refuses. She jumps in and drags him away. Now, you think this might be the end of Justin Long, but hold on a minute. So Tess takes this opportunity. She takes his flashlight, his knife, and she gets the hell out of Dodge. She is gone. She finally gets out of there. But homeboy, AJ, is still stuck in there. And here we go again with this human need to save people. She's like, I gotta save him. The guy from earlier who scared her is the one who drags her out of the little window at the bottom. Drags her out because, of course, the basement door is locked again. And he's like, you need to get out of here and you need to be gone by nighttime, because she comes out of the house at nighttime. Like, and she's going to come looking for you. So she's like, I have to save him. And he's like, good luck. More unnecessary stuff happens. And I might have this a little out of order. I don't really remember. But this scene also seemed kind of unnecessary, but also necessary at the same time. So we cut to this scene of Richard Brake playing a character named Frank, who is essentially a serial killer and assayer, who is like kidnapping women, basically taking them to this basement that he has and essaying them, torturing them, having kids with them, and then having kids with the kids is how it's explained from this character. What is his name? Andre, played by James Butler. Which you never even learn his name. They never say his name at all in the film. Going back to it, he explains all that towards the end of the movie, that the owner of the house and his children, his daughter, never leave the house. So you find out that the owner, Richard Brake, has been living in the basement, in these tunnels under the house with all of his like feral children, who are just carbon copies of the same DNA. So they're inbred AF. And you find out that this last one, the mother, is the last of his inbred children that's been there for 40 years. Yeah, so we see the scene of Frank. So that's how we find all this out. We see the scene of Frank. He goes and buys like diapers and cloths and all this stuff. And then he follows this woman home, unlocks her window, goes to his home. His neighbor's like, we're moving, the neighborhood's going to shit. And he's like, I'm never leaving this house. Turns out he literally never left the house. So while Tess is running away, AJ takes the moment while the mother is gone to run down the tunnels. And these tunnels run deep. He found a whole new whole new layer of tunnels. So he goes into these tunnels. He's at this door. She comes up to him. She stops, the mother, and she backs away. So he goes into the room So AJ finds the room with Frank, who has been living in this house. He is now old and decrepit, can't even talk, immobile, has a bell for when he needs stuff, I guess. And we're just gonna go through this real quick, shoots himself in the head. AJ, how does AJ get out? I just watched the movie last night and I don't even recall how he got out. While all this is happening, Tess has gotten her keys, like she's broken into the house, gotten her keys, drives her car into the mother, comes out of the house. She drives her car into the mother. She goes back in the house with the flashlight. AJ has the gun, and AJ ends up shooting Tess accidentally because he thinks she's the mother. So they escape together, but they find that the mother is gone. She was like pinned against the house with the car. They find that she is gone. This bitch is inhuman. Like, she survives a lot of stuff that you just would not. But I guess that's what happens when you inbred. Oh, the mother finds them, or doesn't find them. They're running away. They go to find Andre. They hide in Andre's hideout, and he's like, you're safe here. You don't need to be trying to leave. She's never come here. Boom, she bursts through the fucking wall. It was honestly a really beautifully shot moment where she comes through the wall, she rips his arm off, and she beats him with his own arm. This is Andre, who has been living there homeless for 15 years and never had any interactions with her. And I guess she assumed that he was trying to hurt her babies. And she was like, not having that. So she literally rips his arm off and beats him with it, which was kind of sad that Andre had to die that way. Like, he was just cool and trying to help protect them from her and ended up getting taken out by her. So now we're approaching the end of the film. They're running up this water tower. AJ and Tess are running up this water tower. She is shot, by the way. She is like trying her best. And they get to the top. They're like, there's no way. AJ, being a fucking idiot, drops the gun. And she gets up to the top of the water tower behind them. And he's like, I can either save you or save myself. And he was like, sorry. And grabs Tess by the hair and throws her off the water tower. What a shit person. He gave this whole speech about how he was going to try and be a better person and how he needed to save her and he hurt her and all this stuff. And in a way was talking about the woman that he essayed and not necessarily talking about Tess and trying to save his career. In the end, that's really what he was talking about. The mother jumps off the water tower and basically like catches her barrel roll so that she lands on top of the mother. He comes down the stairs. He's got the gun. He's like checking to see if either of them is alive. Tess ends up being alive and he's like, I'm gonna save you, I'm gonna save you. And then the mother gets up and smushes his eyes in and rips his head in half. The satisfying moment. I really hate to see Justin Long die in a horror movie or be a villain because I just adore him as a human and has played so many iconic characters like in Jeepers Creepers and so many other movies. And is kind of a scream king in a weird way. It was so like great to see him play something different, but also horrible to see him get his head ripped in half because it's like, that's Justin Long. Like, he almost always dies in these movies. She goes over to Tess. You think she's gonna kill Tess, but she truly just has bonded with Tess and wants to save Tess and take her back to the house and make her better. And Tess ends up shooting her in the face. And that's the end of the movie. And then Tess gets away. She like is hobbling away. Let's get into my final thoughts about Barbarian. All in all, I actually really, really loved the movie. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought there were some moments, like there's one scene where it's inside the car. It's when AJ first pulls up to the house and he's backing up and everything's red. Like you see just his lights and there's like a little snake charm that's hanging in Tess's front window, her rearview mirror. And it's just such a beautiful shot. And there are so many moments in the scene, like all of the moments with the mother in the basement, how she comes up, the way it's lit, it's like flashing sometimes, or it's like very barely lit so you can just see her. And the image of the mother also is beautiful. Like she is creepy. She is so creepy and so cool. The costume design and character design of that is phenomenal. And the suspense building in this movie, some of the best that I have seen in a long time. I think where my negatives come in are some of the scenes that just seemed a little unnecessary. I feel like the runtime, it's only an hour and 40 minutes, I believe. Yeah, the runtime is an hour and 42 minutes. I felt like that could have been cut off by like 20 minutes. I felt like there was some little filler stuff, like going to meet with the lady for the job interview. I know she talked about having a job interview, but we didn't necessarily need to see that. It did nothing for the story. It was literally just like 10 minutes of filler. And the scene with Frank, like going back in time, I felt like that would have been, like, honestly, even if they wanted to keep it an hour and 40 minutes, that 10 minutes of time for the job interview, she could have left the Airbnb for the job interview. It could have cut, like it does these really severe cuts. Like something crazy will be happening. Like Keith's head was literally getting bashed in and it just cut to a completely different moment, which I thought was a great device, but was not necessarily used effectively every single time. I feel like that moment with the job interview would have been a great moment, instead of having us go to that interview, to do one of those severe cuts and have it cut to Frank for the first time, and then another severe cut where it cuts to AJ, which is what happens, and then another severe cut where it cuts to Frank again, and maybe we see him capturing a victim, or him with the baby, like something that gave more. Maybe like the first cut is what we see in the initial scene with Frank. That's your first severe cut. And then the second severe cut is years later, the last inbred kid, taking care of him, or something to give us more of a tie-in to the Frank story and the Tess story, to make those more linear. It just didn't have as much of a through line as I have wanted it to. The plot was great. The story was interesting. The acting was beautiful. I truly, genuinely, as an actor, maybe at times gush a little bit too much about actors, but the acting in this film was absolutely stunning. It was really, really great. All in all, I really, really, really enjoyed the movie. I felt like there were some maybe missing points and some unnecessary points, but hey, that's film. I am gonna go with 4 out of 5 stars for the film Barbarian by A42. Is this A42? I keep saying it's A42, but like, I feel like I'm incredibly wrong. Yeah, wow. I don't know why I thought this was an A20. I've also been saying A42, it's A24. I don't know why I thought this was an A24 film. It just had that vibe. It had that feel of an A24 horror film. Oh well, I'm completely wrong. Whatever. But it was a great movie. 4 out of 5 stars. That's all for this video. If you like what you saw, make sure you comment down below, leave a like, share this video with a friend, and hit the notification bell. Like I said, I post 2 new videos every single week, so make sure your notifications are on, baby. Thank y'all so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Make sure you hit my links down below to follow me on all my social media. I am at DDare Bionic most everywhere, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.